This is Grant. I'm back with assignment number 5 for cybersecurity. This is working with a buffer flow exploit or attack. Today we are looking at this code in front of me. It is showing two functions here in a main. The one function has a char buffer, which sets up a buffer of 6 and then reads in string copy. So this will read in at max a character with a string with 5 different characters and a null character at the end. But string copy does not error check or check if it's too big. So you can easily exploit this by inputting something larger than 5 and getting it to overflow into the adjacent memory or addresses. And so for this works because you can set up an offset or a string to overflow the buffer and the address and have it leak into the return address to where then you can modify the return address because of how the address is allocated and how the frame pointer sets things up. So once you are able to overflow the buffer, you can leak into the adjacent memory and change the return address to potentially a function, or in a real world scenario, maybe a harmful piece of code or some sort of virus, or get information if you want to do that as well. So here I'm going to be overflowing the buffer, setting up an offset, and then delivering the address that I found for int tbd, this function up here. And this should, if I do it correctly, it should overflow and print out these two lines here, and then segfault, and then crash. So if we run this here, after a lot of debugging and kind of just brute force attacking, I was able to find out the offset was 13. And so I'm going to print 13 A's to fill over the buffer and overflow into the next address. And then I'm going to input the address of the function up here, the int tbd, so the return address points to this function. So we're going to run it here, and we see, is the buffer long enough to hold all the A's? And then it stops and then goes to the return address, which then points us to the int tbd function and prints out these two lines that I talked about earlier. Sorry, these two that are in this function and only in this function, and then segfaults or just crashes. So yeah, that's how a buffer flow overflow attack is carried out, and stay tuned for more.